If you were raising your children in today's world, would you do things differently? What advice do you have for parents today?
Yeah, well, I think we did pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with our kids. But I think I didn't bring our kids to church. We didn't bring our kids to church, and that was a mistake. It was a mistake because, I would say our familial environment was pretty religious in its orientation, fundamentally. And it was a playful place, but it was also a very serious place. And the kids imbibed plenty of, let's say, moral discipline. And we taught them to negotiate, and we taught them to stand up for themselves, and they got very good at both of those. But they didn't have an opportunity to learn the biblical stories. And I went to Sunday school when I was a kid, and I didn't really like it. But first of all, so what? It's like who the cynics used to say in our town. This was when religion was beginning the descent that it's undergone, particularly in the last 30 years, like all these hypocritical Christians, they go to church on Sunday for an hour and then they're just as evil and conniving the rest of the week. It's like, fair enough, how hypocritical, fair enough, but what are you going to do? You're going to replace that with like 0 time trying to be good? That's your improvement? It's like, you got that hour and you're trying stupidly and hypocritically to be good, and that's pretty pathetic, but it seems to be a lot better than not ever trying it at all. So I did learn, in Sunday school, despite the impossibility of sitting still during that period of time and the fact that I didn't want to go to school yet another day, I did learn the biblical stories in some depth, and that was insanely useful. And one of the things I noticed when I was teaching my Maps of Meaning course, I started teaching that in like 1992, I guess. No, 1980. Yeah, about 82, I guess. No, it was even earlier than that. 85 probably. Started teaching it. Everyone I taught the course to knew the basic biblical stories, but by the time it was like 2017, 60% of the kids didn't know the stories at all. And so it was almost impossible to teach the damn course, because I'd have to do a course in biblical stories before I could do a course about religious narrative. And it's not like they replaced that with any great wisdom. They just didn't know any stories. It's like, because their parents might have thought, well, we'll let our kids sort their way through the whole wonderful world of religious belief. It's like, no, you won't. You can't even manage one religion. How the hell are you going to manage 10? It's just not going to happen. So, I think that would probably have been good for us, I think. And our granddaughter just got baptized, and everybody seemed pretty happy about that. And so, and I've also come to understand that, modern people are pretty narcissistic, and I certainly fell into that category as a 13-year-old, and I thought, well, there's a lot of things about the church that I don't really agree with, and I didn't notice that, like, who cared what I thought? Because I was a 13-year-old kid. It's like, why was this about what I thought? Who cared what I thought? I shouldn't have even cared what I thought. So I didn't know anything. And so, maybe some of you are loath to join a civic organization or a political party or a church because, aren't they corrupt and hypocritical? It's like, yeah, they are. So are you. And if they're so damaged and you're so wise and wonderful, like, why don't you just go there and fix them up a bit? Because you could do that instead of just pretending that you're above all that, because you're definitely not. And so we didn't handle that as well as we might have, and I suppose we're atoning for our sins to some degree by doing what we're doing now. But I don't know. What do you think? Is there anything else we screwed up?
Well, I gave up gluten 25 years ago, and nobody paid any attention to it.
Yeah, so you think we could have done that better?
I think you could have done that better.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But other than that, I think it went all right.
Okay. Glad to hear it.